All right, I've made up my mind.
Wyatt? I was just about to text you to ask if you were done with work. What did you decide?
Rima, sorry, but I'm spending tonight with my ex-girlfriend.
Riley? What? Your ex-girlfriend, as in Riley, the one who lived next door to your parents?
Yeah, my childhood friend and ex. One of those people who are just extra special.
Hold on, are you seriously saying that, knowing what day it is today? Even if you didn't realize, what you're saying is completely outrageous. Do you have any idea what you're doing?
Yeah, that's part of why I'm messaging you. The hotel we booked for our wedding anniversary tonight, I'll be staying there with Riley instead.
What?
The hotel's already reserved, so I might as well spend it with the person I'm actually with right now, right?
I seriously question your sanity. I never thought I'd be treated like this on our first wedding anniversary.
Oh, come on, you can go any other time, right? Just let me have this one.
I can't even begin to understand your thought process.
Please, just let it go.
You do realize what this means for us going forward, right?
I'm not sure what you mean, but I'll take that as you letting me have my way. I've already checked into the hotel, by the way.
I see. I guess it can't be helped.
Thanks.
Thanks? Seriously? Your delusion is so overwhelming, it's almost refreshing. I've managed to calm down because of it. I'll be heading back to my parents' house then. I knew it. He's involved with her. What? It feels like my years of trust and complacency have been used against me, and I am furious. Jennifer, calm down. Are you saying the private investigator you hired has reported back? Yes. So it was her after all? Yes, it was her. I can't forgive this. I understand how you feel, but you need to stay calm. How composed we are now could determine what happens next. Yes, I'll do my best to calm down. Jennifer, I know it's hard to stay calm right now, but I have some urgent additional information. What is it? Are you alone right now? Yes, my husband is away on a company trip, so I'm alone tonight. Understood. Is this about Wyatt? Was there something about him in the investigator's report? A little, yes. Some details about him came up as a byproduct of the investigation I requested. Wyatt is my husband's stepson, so he isn't biologically mine, but even so, I couldn't help but feel sickened by what I read. Could you share that with me as well? Sure, would you like to come over now? If it's all right, I'll come by in an hour. Got it, I'll get everything ready.
Whew! What an amazing night! Chemistry really is important, huh? I'm sleep-deprived but completely satisfied. Morning coffee with someone you connect with is unbeatable.
You're actually saying that to me? Your wife?
What?
The fact that that's your response, you're beyond saving.
Huh? Anyway, no time to waste. She's asking for a round 2, so I'll catch up with you later. Oh, by the way, I extended the stay. I'll be back in a week.
A week? What about work?
Who cares about that? Just tell him I'm sick or something.
Do it yourself. I'm not doing it for you.
Later.
He is hopeless. Rima, thank you for last night and today. Have you managed to calm down a bit? Yeah, somehow. I spoke with my brother earlier and explained the situation, and he's agreed to let me stay at his place for a while. He even introduced me to one of his lawyer friends, and I've already scheduled a consultation for tomorrow. Oh, that's quick. And you're just getting started, aren't you? Yeah, first I need to start gathering evidence. We only found out about Wyatt's cheating last night, and while the investigation report you commissioned suggests their relationship has been going on for some time, if I'm going to move forward with the divorce, I need a solid final blow, something irrefutable. Also, I'll need to coordinate with how you're proceeding. You're right. We need to stay on the same page here. If you'd like, I can refer you to the private investigator I used. Since it's someone my brother knows, they're willing to give a bit of a discount. Really? Oh, that would be a huge help. All right, I'll pass your contact information to them. Thank you so much. What about you? What are you going to do next? Well, Wyatt will probably waltz back in like nothing happened, but you can't just go on like that, right? Are you going back to your parents' house for now? Yes, that's the plan. My workplace will be farther away, but fortunately, my job can be done remotely. I'm planning to discuss it with my manager. Got it. Our enemy is the same. Let's keep in touch and get through this together. Yes.
Hey, Rima! Huh? What? I just got back from the hotel and there was a divorce application sitting on the table. Perfect timing! Thanks!
Oh, perfect timing, huh?
Yeah, Riley and I, after spending an entire week at the hotel, coming together again and again, how should I say this? The thought of us returning to separate lives now just feels so sad. Riley feels the same way, and honestly, I feel bad for you, but I've decided to finalize the divorce as soon as possible. With that resolve, Riley and I came home together, and there it was, a divorce application with your name already filled in. All your stuff was packed up and gone too. And now that I think about it, you said you were going to your parents. You even took care of the moving process for me. Thanks to you, Riley and I can start living together today.
Oh, is that so?
Seriously, thank you. I'm really grateful. Truly, I mean it.
Is that so?
I'm gonna be so happy with Riley.
Is that so?
I'm heading out now to file the divorce papers and the marriage application at the same time.
The level of delusion you've reached is truly astounding.
Our divorce is finalized, and Riley and I are officially married. We're husband and wife now.
Congratulations.
We're heading straight off to our honeymoon.
Oh, so you're not coming back home?
Nah, Riley wanted to go to this resort, so we'll be there for about a week.
Another week, huh? Not that it's any of my business now, but have you informed your company about your absence?
Yeah, can you handle that for me again?
No, do it yourself. I have no obligation to do that anymore.
Once we get to the resort, we're heading straight to the mixed outdoor hot spring.
Jennifer, the divorce has been finalized. It seems they also filed the marriage registration with Riley at the same time. Oh my, how indecent. Well, from our side, it's been quite an interesting turn of events. I see. How about you? Yes, everything is going according to plan here. I just had my husband sign the divorce papers a moment ago, and I plan to submit them tomorrow. Not immediately, but tomorrow? Yeah, just to be safe, I'll do it tomorrow. Soon my divorce with my husband will be finalized. We'll be complete strangers. You had met with your husband earlier, right? How was it? It seems he had no idea that his affair had been discovered. His face turned completely pale when I told him. He signed the divorce papers without saying much, but then suddenly it seemed to hit him. He looked at me and said, "Wait, I still have time, right?" And with a desperate wide smile, he ran off. I wonder what he was trying to get in time for, I wonder. Who knows?
What the hell? Could this really be happening? I wish it weren't true.
What now?
Riley and Dad have been seeing each other, and it seems Riley actually considers Dad as her main partner, and Dad is seriously in love with Riley too. It seems like he wanted to marry Riley, but since he's still married to Mom, if their affair were to get exposed, it would result in a divorce and alimony. To avoid that risk, it looks like he thought that if I, his son, marry Riley and we start living together, they'd always have a reason to be together.
But you're still married to me, aren't you? Just so you know, I'm going to claim alimony.
It's gonna be on me to pay, and it won't affect us, so whatever.
What a perfect example of someone only thinking about their own convenience.
But the thing is, Dad's affair was discovered by Mom, and the divorce has been decided. Dad's gonna have to pay alimony to Mom, but now he can marry Riley openly. Last night, Dad contacted Riley and told her that.
You and Riley must have filed your marriage registration just a little bit ago, right?
Yeah, we did.
You probably already know this, but legally, people who used to be husband and wife can't remarry each other. Even if you and Riley get divorced now, your dad and Riley can't get married anymore.
That's it! That's what I was trying to tell you!
What?
Dad showed up at our honeymoon resort, and just now in our hotel room there was total chaos. Dad was shouting at me, "Why did you file the marriage papers with such timing? Now we can't get married!" He started hitting me, and Riley started kicking me and screaming. They both just tore into me. Then they both got all fired up saying, "But our love won't change." And before I knew it, Dad and Riley were about to, right in front of me.
Oh my.
I couldn't bear to watch anymore, so I grabbed my stuff and fled the resort.
Wow. It's turned into a full-blown mess, hasn't it?
What am I supposed to do now?
Don't ask me.
What?
We've already divorced. Don't drag me into this.
I got fired from my job.
You got fired from your job?
I stayed in a hotel for a week. Then after that, I just couldn't get myself to leave the house because of all the chaos. But eventually I had no more paid leave left, so I forced myself to go back to work after nearly half a month. And when I got there, they treated the 2 weeks as unauthorized absences.
All right. Unauthorized absence for 2 weeks, wasn't it?
Why didn't you tell them you'd be absent?
You told me to handle it.
But...
The thing is, you took the extra vacation for staying at the hotel because you were cheating with another woman, and the honeymoon trip with Riley was after we'd already divorced. And yet you just dumped all the responsibility of notifying the company on me, which is totally unreasonable.
What the hell am I supposed to do? This is a nightmare, and I have no idea what to do anymore.
Just so you know, I'll be claiming alimony later, so make sure you pay up.
Huh? This is still going on? It's a nightmare! This is my fault. I should have made sure to take care of everything.
You're just realizing that now?
What do you mean?
It's just like you said the other day. All of this started because of the mess you created. You thought you could get away with everything, but now that things have spiraled, you're blaming everything on bad luck and timing.
I didn't think it would go this far!
Well, now you know. You should have thought things through before you did all this.
It's too late now, I know that.
You didn't have any intention of actually working through it, did you? You kept pretending everything was fine while making it worse, lying, cheating, and expecting others to fix it for you.
I didn't think it would be like this.
Well, it is. Now you need to deal with the consequences whether you want to or not.
What do I do? I don't know what to do anymore.
I've told you already, I'm not helping you. You're on your own.
But please, I need your help just this once.
You think I'll just help you after everything you've done? You're the one who chose all of this. You're the one who caused it, not me. You have to face it now.
Please, I just don't know what to do. I'm so lost and everything is falling apart.
You should have thought about that before.
I've made a huge mistake. I should never have done all this. I've been thinking about everything, and I don't know why I was so selfish. I thought I could get away with it, but now it's too late. Everything's ruined. I hurt so many people. I hurt you. I hurt Riley. I hurt Mom. I can't take back what I've done.
What do you want me to say? You've already made your choices. Now you have to live with them.
But I don't know how. I don't know what to do anymore.
You'll figure it out. But don't expect anyone to save you now. You have to face the consequences on your own.
But I don't know if I can. I feel like everything is crashing down.
It is crashing down, and it's your own doing. I can't fix it for you.
Please, just listen. I know I messed up and I don't deserve forgiveness, but I don't know what else to do. I need to fix things.
I've heard enough from you.
What? Why?
I've had enough of your excuses. This is on you. You're the one who chose this path. You didn't think things through, and now you have to deal with the aftermath.
I understand. I know I messed up. I'm just asking for a chance to make things right.
You've had chances. You've had many chances, and you have thrown every single one of them away.
Please, I'll do anything. Just give me a chance.
No, I'm done here. While the person in question was still wallowing in their despair, I took it upon myself to push things forward, ensuring that the alimony was settled in full, and in one lump sum, no less. I wasn't going to allow any of this to drag on longer than necessary. There was no point in delaying something that needed to be resolved quickly, especially when it came to such an important issue. Time was of the essence, and I wasn't going to let him waste any more of it, nor allow his emotional state to get in the way of practical matters. It had already been a long, drawn-out situation. We couldn't afford to continue like that, caught in limbo. Naturally, I didn't forget about Riley, the one who had caused all of this in the first place, the affair partner. She was no less responsible for the mess than Wyatt, and I made sure she was billed for her part as well. It was the least I could do. After all, she had contributed to the ruin of not just a marriage, but a family, and I wasn't about to let that slide without making sure she faced the consequences. The situation might have been difficult, but it was not going to be a free pass for anyone involved. Riley, in particular, seemed to think that her involvement was somewhat excusable, but I wasn't about to let her think she could escape her share of the blame so easily. I had to remind myself that while I was within my rights to demand this from them, I was still dealing with a family dynamic that was much more complicated than I would have liked. Family, no matter how flawed, always seemed to pull you back in, even when you had long since accepted the fact that you were better off without them. But in this case, there was no escaping what needed to be done. The financial aspects of it all had to be handled, and handled quickly. So I set about ensuring everything was squared away. The last thing I needed was for them to try and drag things out even longer, especially now that the damage had been done. Looking at my stepfather, who was now in the unfortunate position of being a tragic figure unable to legally marry, and Riley, it became clear that they both viewed everything that was happening as a little more than a storyline, a way to bolster the image of their relationship. To them, every part of their ordeal, from the betrayal to the eventual separation, seemed to be just another piece of drama to help cement their connection. I began to notice how they behaved, how everything that unfolded between them seemed to be viewed through the lens of a script they were following. There was no real sense of remorse or reflection, only an eagerness to move on and pretend as though everything was going according to plan. It was as though their entire relationship had been nothing more than a performance, and this unfortunate mess they had created was simply a chapter they could easily brush aside. They seemed to take it all in stride, as though it was something expected, something that only added flavor to their story. I could almost see them as characters in a soap opera, playing their parts, believing that everything that happened was somehow meant to be. It was an unsettling thought, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized it made sense. This was how they processed everything, the betrayal, the lies, the heartache. It was all part of some narrative they had built for themselves, a story where they were the central figures and everyone else was simply an extra in the background. I almost wondered if they were able to block out the emotional and moral implications of what they had done, or if they truly believed they had done nothing wrong. Their emotions, however, didn't seem to run deep. There was no real regret, no true understanding of the harm they had caused. From what I gathered, they didn't seem to realize how everything they had done had affected not just Wyatt's family, but the wider network of people who had known them. They had become so absorbed in their little world that they were blind to the pain they'd inflicted. There were people who had once looked up to them, people who had cared about them, and they had shattered those relationships with their actions. But neither of them seemed to have any awareness of the damage they had done. All they cared about was each other, their newly formed bond, and how they could present themselves as the victims of a cruel twist of fate. They were blind to everything else. Still, even though their perception of it all was rather self-serving, they managed to settle their debts. Riley and Wyatt both, paying the alimony in full and in one lump sum. I was somewhat surprised at how quickly it was done, but I suppose it was to be expected when there was little to no resistance from either of them. They had no intention of making things more difficult than they needed to be, not when they were so focused on their new lives. They probably thought that paying the money and putting everything behind them would help them move forward, but the truth was the mess they had made was not something you could easily erase with money. No amount of alimony would undo the damage, but at least it brought the financial side of things to a close. For me, this quick resolution was actually a blessing. While I had my reservations about the whole situation, at least it meant there would be less hassle in the long run. The last thing I wanted was to keep dragging things out or dealing with more of the emotional fallout from this entire mess. There had been enough of that already, and with the alimony paid in full, I was able to cross that particular issue off my list. No more arguments, no more back and forth. It was done. I didn't have to worry about Wyatt or Riley trying to wriggle their way out of their responsibilities. They had paid, and that was that. I could focus on moving forward, and that was the most important thing for me at this point. But life didn't stop there. After the payment was made, Wyatt and Riley's marriage came to an end, just as expected. Their relationship, which had always seemed to be built on shaky ground, collapsed completely. Wyatt, having lost everything, his family, his home, his finances, left town. There was nothing left for him there. He took what little he could and disappeared. No one knew where he went, and honestly, no one cared. His absence was just another part of the drama that had played out. It was as if he had become a ghost, fading into the background, no longer a part of the picture. The only thing left behind was the mess he had created and the sense of emptiness that followed him out of town. As for Riley, she didn't exactly have the luxury of disappearing. She was left to deal with the fallout of the divorce, but instead of taking time to reflect on her role in everything that had happened, she quickly moved on, within a matter of weeks. She and my ex-stepfather were already living together. It seemed like the next logical step for them, a way to solidify their bond. Their relationship, which had started off in secrecy, was now fully out in the open, and yet, despite the outward appearance of everything being fine, there was an underlying tension that couldn't be ignored. In the beginning, everything seemed to be progressing smoothly, or at least that's what they wanted everyone to believe, but soon enough the cracks began to show. The neighbors, who had been quietly observing their relationship from a distance, finally started to take notice. At first they kept their opinions to themselves, but as the days went by, it became increasingly difficult to ignore the odd looks and whispered conversations behind closed doors. The whole situation had started to attract attention, and not in a good way. It was then that my ex-stepfather and Riley seemed to wake up to reality. For all their earlier confidence, they hadn't realized just how much judgment they were under. It wasn't just their immediate families that had been affected by their actions, it was the whole community. People who had once respected them now viewed them with suspicion, and it seemed to be a hard pill to swallow. They were no longer the picture-perfect couple they had once imagined themselves to be. Instead, they were just two people who made a series of poor decisions and now had to live with the consequences. Their fantasy of a happily ever after was crumbling before their eyes. It wasn't long before their relationship started to show signs of strain. The awkward silences grew longer, the arguments more frequent, and the sense of unease that had previously been pushed aside could no longer be ignored. They had moved in together quickly, thinking it would somehow solidify their connection, but it had only brought out the differences between them. They weren't the perfect match they had once believed themselves to be, and the reality of their situation was starting to take a toll. Now it seemed as though the end was near. The tension between them had become palpable. The relationship was no longer the fresh, exciting new beginning they had imagined it to be. It had become a strained and uncomfortable existence, one that was unlikely to last much longer. Every day felt like a reminder of how fragile their bond truly was, and how quickly it had unraveled. The realization that they were not going to live happily ever after, that their story was not one of a fairy tale romance, seemed to have finally sunk in.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.